this meeting to order of the Open Space and Recreation Plan Committee on September 19th at 7 p.m. I thought maybe we could do just brief introductions around the table.
Dave Harrigan.
Linda Lorkevich.
Danny Marini.
Ed Designate.
Bill Scanlon.
Michelle Jervis.
Okay, Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. Did everybody have a chance to look over the minutes?
Yep.
Yes.
Does anybody have any questions or comments? Then I'll entertain a motion.
I move to accept the minutes as written.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, minutes are approved. Okay, coming in is Jeff Murray, Highway Superintendent, also on the committee. Come on up. This evening, we have Danny Marini with us from the Central Mass Regional Planning Commission. Danny's put together a draft survey, so we're going to go through that first. She's prepared a flyer. We will comment on that and have a discussion on how to reach out to the community to get a good response from the survey. So Danny, I'll turn that over to you.
Sure. So I sent out a copy of the survey. I don't know how long ago it was at this point. I have not received any edits, which is totally fine. You know, we can talk about it now. So this is really sort of the cookie cutter survey that we start off with, and then, you know, we can change some questions, add things, take them out to make it more unique to the town. Just sort of off the bat, any reactions to the survey, any questions that are too wordy, don't make sense that we want to change?
I guess
Any comments at all are welcome. Feel free to rip it to shreds. It's
No,
totally
no.
fine.
Gearing up.
I thought there was a lot of information in there that was being gathered. A little long,
Yes,
Little long.
definitely.
Yeah.
but all good information. Is this what happened the last time? Something similar?
I'd have to pull up your survey last time. My sense is it was probably a little bit shorter.
Okay.
And I don't know if there was a virtual component to it. So
20
that
years ago?
could
Probably
change some
not.
formats of the questions. But yeah, comments I always get is that it's very long. So
Yeah.
I'm happy to cut it down. You know, I feel like a lot of the questions are really valuable.
Yes.
So it just might be choosing which ones we value more than others, or maybe combining some, or other comments that I've gotten from other towns are wanting more sort of open-ended questions instead of multiple choice or check boxes, which, you know, there's pros and cons to both. If you leave it open-ended, you can get some more personalized feedback. It's a little harder to quantify that.
Sure.
But I think there's room to change some stuff. So definitely, if there's any questions that we don't really care about or don't apply, then we can get rid of those for sure.
Have you ever done a question on sites, site-specific questions?
Yes.
I think it would be helpful
Okay.
if we had a list of town sites to get opinions from the public about quality of recreation or open space there. And
Okay.
any suggestions they might have for improvements, that kind of thing.
Okay.
There aren't that many recreation sites, I don't think. So it shouldn't be that long. And,
Okay.
the town only has a couple of parks too that are open for hiking and whatnot, so I think that would give people a chance to weigh in on, you know, their own town rather than just sort of the natural
Yeah,
resource
for sure.
kinds of questions that
So
you
you
have.
mean like the rail trail and the parks and all that?
Mhm.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
Right.
And one thing during my meeting that we had last week, I had mentioned about the open space and recreation, and there's a lot of things that like go hand in hand with what we're doing too. And they wanted to know, the rest of the commission, if we could add a couple of specific requests on here.
sure, yeah.
for the survey.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. I'll
Yeah,
get back to them and
yeah,
let
if you
them
want
know.
to let me know what they are, I'll put them
Yeah,
in.
they were just asking if they could add stuff on,
Sure.
probably like with the events, like what people want to do,
Okay.
you know, centered around agriculture.
Sure.
You know, what their plans are for their land.
Yeah,
I'm
definitely.
not sure, I'm just brainstorming as to what I think they would probably want to be coming up with.
Yeah, no, definitely, we can add that.
Danny, do you want to go through it?
Sure, yeah, let's go down question by question. We'll start at the top here. This is just sort of an introduction to the survey. I put a tentative close date of October 15th, but I'll probably change that at this point just so that we can keep it open for at least a month, if not longer than that. So I'll change that. Just write that down. Change. Let's see, what's the dates? The 19th. So do we want to plan to have, we'll go through it tonight. I'll take in any extra comments that we might have tonight or later on, and then be ready to finalize and sort of launch the survey October 1st. We'll let it go for a whole month, or at least a whole month, and then we can sort of check in at the end of October, see if we got enough responses, and then can continue it. You know, there's no set close date that we need to have, so if we feel like you want to keep it open an extra month or a couple of weeks, especially if you have any events in November or December that you might want to advertise at, like a special town meeting or something, that might be a good idea. So I'll put the tentative close date as October 31st. But again, we'll adjust as needed. Okay, and then again, I sort of have a tentative, we'll have a public forum, you know, to be open to everybody sometime in fall or winter 2022, probably more like winter 2022 or 2023, sort of depending on how long our survey lasts. Okay, anything to change about this sort of intro blurb at the top here?
No, looks fine.
Good, okay. All right, so next question here, how strongly do you support Dudley protecting, acquiring, and/or improving town-owned land for the following reasons? And so you've got 5 answer choices: extremely supportive, somewhat supportive, neutral, somewhat unsupportive, and not at all supportive. I've seen it differ in a few towns. Sometimes they like the 5 options because, you know, you might fall in between some of these. But then it's sort of quantifying that gets a little bit more difficult. So I've seen some towns cut that down to 3 as either supportive, neutral, or not supportive.
Yeah, I'm a big 3 fan. You know, I go, yeah, I'm supportive, but maybe it's just somewhat. Maybe if you're supportive, thank you.
Yeah.
If you're neutral, all right, I understand you're in quandary. And if you don't want to be, well, you're probably not filling it out.
Yeah, I mean, it's a little bit skewed because the people who fill this out are going to be interested mostly in open space and recreation. So in terms of 3 or 5, I leave that up to the towns. I think I fall more in line with the 3 options versus the 5 because, you know, if you're either sort of supportive or you're not. So if you leave that somewhat, it sort of just leaves room for flakiness, in my opinion. But
Yeah, and I think we need to send them a message that we're going to be concise about what we do. This one is just like, oh, God, you're back in college and you're having...
Somewhat unsupportive.
all right, so we'll change this one
Okay.
to
Do we
3.
just want to make that decision now to keep it to 3?
Yes.
I think it makes sense.
Is everybody on
Sure.
board with that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
We're good with that, yeah.
Change to 3. Supportive,
Which ones?
neutral, or not. And then in terms of sort of what we're asking them to describe, do you want me to go through all of the options?
Maybe just give us a second to look
Okay,
at them
sure.
rather than...
Just like, yeah,
Yeah. There's no point in you reading them all.
okay.
Any comments on question 1?
Looks good to me.
Okay. Any question 2?
Okay, question 2. Okay, so very similar to the first one, but more about water. How strongly do you support Dudley protecting, acquiring, and/or improving town-owned water resources for the following reasons? And again, do we want to change that to 3 instead of 5 answer choices? Okay.
Yeah, I wouldn't want them suddenly saying, oh, now this is fine. It lured me in for a
Right.
minute.
And then in terms of these things that we're asking, sort of within each of these questions, if there's any that don't really apply to the town, or you don't sort of care about collecting data on, we can definitely eliminate some of these as well. But if they seem okay, then we'll move on to question 3.
Sure.
Okay. And so this next question really focuses on sort of testing the waters on what residents might be in favor of or not in terms of, I guess, politically what we could do. So in order to preserve open spaces in Dudley, would you be willing to do the following? I will read these out just since they're more specific. Vote to allocate town funds to acquire and/or otherwise conserve open space. Support a requirement for all new residential developments to include conservation and open space areas. Favor zoning that provides for increases in density in existing developed areas in exchange for open space or less developed in environmentally sensitive areas. And consider allowing an easement on a portion of your property in order to add to existing open spaces or connect to open spaces. Do you already have some of these zoning policies in place?
For increases in density, we do have an open space residential development
Okay.
bylaw, which has, I think, a bonus for preserving more open space.
Okay,
But it requires, I think, 50% to be preserved
okay,
anyway. We don't have requirements for requiring other open space and other kinds of developments.
okay. So, do we want to leave that zoning one in, or since you sort of already have some of it?
No, we can leave it in, I think.
Okay,
Good to get a sense of what people are thinking.
okay. Any edits to this question? Or questions about the question?
No, I think this is a pretty important one, and doesn't get asked very often.
Right.
So it's good to bring it forward.
Agreed.
Good, okay. All right, so next question. Do you have any interest in volunteering to participate on a town board or assist a town project that promotes the preservation of open space and/or recreation? So I've seen towns keep this in so they can sort of generate a list of volunteers. So I'm happy to keep it in, or if you wanna, if this is a question you'd like to cut down on, we can get rid of that too.
I think we can include it.
Include it?
And in fact, I was wondering if, for 3, the last item, consider allowing an easement on a portion of your property. It might be nice to have that similar kind of,
Okay,
so if someone is interested, we could contact them
okay.
and
Yeah.
see if we can work something out. We're always looking for volunteers. It's hard to find people that want to volunteer for the town government, so it'd be good.
Okay, next question. And so for these questions here with the lines next to them, it's a ranking, so there'll be like, when you click on it, there'll be a number to choose from. So that's why it looks a little bit odd here. Okay, number 5, what should Dudley's priorities be for open space expenditures? Please rank how important each of the following are from most important, number 1, to least important, number 6. Okay, did that right. And you can only use each ranking once. So once you rank one, it'll, sort of disappear. Any edits to this question? And do we like it as a ranking question, or do we want to sort of change it?
takes a fair amount of work. You have to, rank each one and make sure you
Yes.
get them in the order that you're comfortable with. Would more like a 1 to 10 kind of system be better?
So,
You just say, for one, acquiring conservation lands, I think that's
for each
very
one.
important for each one, so I give that a 10.
Okay, and,
What do you think?
so you would be able to vote,
So rather than ranking them in order, you just rank each one on its own merits.
Yes, we can definitely do that. The format of that is, it's gonna be bigger, in terms of question, because you'll have all the sort of things we want them to rank, and then the sort of ranking matrix will be larger. It'll be the same amount of work, it just will visually look, like a larger question than
What do
it
others
is.
think about that? Would you prefer it this way or the other way?
I
So for
think
each-
it kind of makes sense myself. What you're suggesting is that you keep the same format, and then rather than numbering each one and prioritizing each one of those, you're just ranking them 1 through 10 for each one. And then, you're still getting a sense, where, the first one, say, you get a bunch of ones. That's low on the priority list and kind of does the same thing as, as
Maybe you could do
but
a
a little
1 to...
bit, a little bit less work for the person that's doing the survey to actually do it. Collecting the data or disseminating the data might be a little more complicated for after the fact.
No, I think it'll be all right. I think you'll still have people rank things a little bit differently, even though they'll be allowed to rank them the same. And it'll all be contained in one question. It'll just look a little bit bigger. But yeah, we can do that. That's totally fine.
Is it 1 to 10 the right way, or 1 to 5, or is that better, or?
Yeah, we'll do 1 to 10, and I'll switch it so that 10's the most important and 1's least important.
Okay.
All right, let me just write that down. Okay. Okay, and then do we want to do that same thing for number 6 as well?
I think it would make sense.
I think so. If you have 8 items, that's a lot of thinking to figure out
Yes.
which one is 5 and which one is 8, so.
Okay. All right, so just to read the question, what should Dudley's priorities be for recreation expenditures? Please rank how important each of the following are. So again, we'll switch that from most important being 10, least important being 1, and then folks will be able to rank each one, give it any weight that they want to give it instead of within that set of groups there. For both 5 and 6, anything we want to add to the ranking, or does that seem like a good amount of options as is?
I think that's enough.
Yeah, I would say probably don't add any. You might want to take some away or rework some.
Yeah.
But if we think we hit them, then we can move on to the next question. Okay. All right, number 7. What do you consider to be the biggest unmet open space needs in Dudley? Please rank the following from most needed 1 to least needed 10. So this is a similar format. It's that ranking, so you're ranking within the set of options. Do we want to do the same thing where you're sort of ranking each one individually from 1 to 10?
I think it probably makes
Yeah.
sense to follow the same format. with
Okay.
Yeah, makes it more
You don't want to
consistent.
keep switching back
Yeah.
and forth,
Right.
because it's gonna really mess people
Well,
up.
and it has the same intent too, so I mean, you're essentially doing the same thing with all of these. And then it doesn't, should you choose somewhere along the lines to pull one of those or add to it, it doesn't change the format on it.
Okay.
Anything else people would like to add to that list?
Looks good.
And then question number 8, open-ended, sort of, do we miss anything? Are there any other unmet open space needs in Dudley that were not mentioned? And again, this question, so I've split it up between open space and recreation, because I think they're both equally important, so that, you know, if we were to combine them, I think recreation would probably outweigh open space, so that's why I split them out, but I'm happy to put them together if we, okay. All right, so question number 9 is similar, but it's recreation focused. What do you consider to be the biggest unmet recreation needs in Dudley? Please rank. So I'll change that to that similar matrix that we're talking about.
You have handicapped accessible splash pad.
Yes.
Could that be expanded to include other kinds of accessible facilities, or a separate item for that?
Yeah, for sure. Let's see,
I mean,
where
is
did I
that,
put that?
is the intent that it's available, it's a splash pad, but it's also handicap accessible?
Yes.
Everybody could be in it.
Right, correct.
Right.
Right.
This one sounds like it's just
Just specifically for
specific.
handicap.
Have to be a void.
Okay. So maybe you change that to splash pad.
I'm interested in that for seniors too. Just we have to get our enjoyment where we can.
So I'll change that so that it says splash pad first, but that it does note that it's accessible.
Yeah.
And then you mentioned other sort of accessible equipment. So I have a playground with handicap
Okay,
accessible
I
equipment.
didn't see that one. Okay, so that's there. Okay.
Is there any other sort of accessible recreation opportunities
Yeah,
that we
it-
specifically want to mention?
There's another item too that says recreational opportunities for disabled persons.
Okay.
I think with any of the items that make sense, accessibility makes sense to
Okay.
add that to it.
Anything else that we've missed?
It's interesting to see pickleball courts. That's
Yeah.
that's a new one.
And I've seen, I don't know if I put it on,
Age it.
doesn't look like I put it on here, but,
Bocce courts too.
you want me to put down bocce?
No, I'm saying I have seen those at
Yeah.
Yeah.
affordable housing complexes that have been added. There's recreational facilities that are added. That's
I like the idea, a large park with many facilities, you know, so that there's a focus to go to, you know. Why spread these things all over the place and they never get seen?
well, maintenance is always an issue too. So
Mhm.
You know, I'd rather have one big,
Is trash pickup an issue that you're aware of at any town parks or open spaces?
So I have a buildings and grounds coordinator that has a routine of,
Okay.
there are trash receptacles at the hiking trails or the
Right.
rail trails, any of the park facilities, the town beach.
Mhm.
So there's routine
Okay,
maintenance of trash
good.
that they have to do.
All right, so if there's nothing else to add for 9, question 10, similar to question number 8. Are there any other unmet recreation needs in Dudley? So sort of that catch-all in case we miss anything. And then question number 11, what are your favorite open spaces or recreational facilities in Dudley? I think if we're gonna add a question about specific sites in town, then this might be one that we sort of sub out for that question. And instead we'll list those questions and ask folks to rank them or how often they visit them, something along those
Right.
lines. Okay, so these next set of questions focus on how we're accessing and utilizing these facilities in town. So the question number 12, how often do you go to a park or other open space in Dudley to do the following? And we've got our choices are daily, weekly, monthly, rarely, or never. And there's sort of a whole host of options here. I think this is a question you could take or leave. I think it will collect some valuable information for you, but if, you know, it is a lot to look at, so if you feel like it doesn't rank as highly, this might be one of the ones that, you know, you might want to get rid of.
I wonder, yeah, it looks intimidating. Again, if we could put 3 things, you know, frequently, rarely, never.
Okay.
Something like that, you know, where we don't need to know if they're there daily necessarily.
Yeah.
And I don't know anybody that goes anywhere daily except their bathroom.
Yeah, I think maybe frequently, monthly or never,
Yeah,
something to that
Right.
effect. I mean, it-
and that way they'll just say, oh, that's easy, it doesn't look so.
Mhm.
Okay.
so I think what you had mentioned before too was, you know, kind of a good idea. If you have a more centralized area of where there's recreation facilities that, you know, it's conducive to maintenance and upkeep and,
Yeah.
and
And the social interaction.
some oversight too, because I think
Yeah.
back to the trash or vandalism even that
Yeah.
we've experienced here at the
More eyes.
town hall. You know, we have more eyes on the spaces and people more frequently there, so less likely to have vandalism or people leaving trash laying around or that type of thing, or where it's unattended.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, question 13. How important is it to be able to travel to open space and recreational destinations in Dudley by the following: walking, biking, or automobile? And then we've got those 5 options, change those to 3.
Yeah.
Is it perhaps a question we don't really need?
Yeah, I was thinking that also.
Yeah, if you don't think you need it, that's fine.
Just kill this one.
Okay, this next question: do you or anyone in your household have a difficulty with the following? And so this is sort of just to gauge ability and, you know,
What's the information we're gonna get here? What's the purpose of this one?
so in terms of what we're gonna gather from this question is, based on who's answering the survey, are there any areas in town or abilities that we should be thinking of when we're thinking of new recreational opportunities? So going back to that, like, playground accessible equipment, accessible recreational opportunities, do you have a big need of that? Are folks who are interested in open space also, you know, have these difficulties with seeing, hearing, walking, climbing, stuff like that? It's a question you can keep, you can take it out.
I think it needs to be reworked
Yeah.
Okay.
if we're gonna
Because
use it.
I think some people would take this as being too personal.
Yeah.
Okay.
Agreed.
Do you have a suggestion for how we rework this? So it's a little bit less maybe invasive.
Yeah.
Well, you could say something like, would you prefer a site that has, and then a list of facilities for sight impaired people, facilities for hearing impaired people?
Okay.
Would that make sense? Something of that sort,
Okay.
you know,
Yeah,
something
that sounds
something
less-
without steps or, you know.
Yeah, this just kind of.
I'll rework that one. And I'll change it so that if there are rankings, we'll make it no more than 3. Okay, next question. How satisfied are you with the quality of whole host of options here? I'm gonna change that to 3 options. Satisfied.
Do you really need the word quality there?
Yeah, that's a big word.
What does
So,
quality-
the reason is because the next question, talks
okay.
about, quantity. So in one sense, we're asking about of these existing, facilities or programs, you know, whatever it might be that we have already, how's the quality of it? You know,
I'd
is it
ask
regularly
quantity
upkept?
first,
Quantity first, okay,
and then they're in the mood of, okay, it's what they're
Okay.
asking. And then when it gets to quality, it's a little easier. When you jump into quality, it's all like, well, I don't know.
okay.
Yeah, I like that.
Quantity first.
And I think these are really a couple of important questions.
Okay. All right, so we'll switch these.
I just hope they know what the existing program is.
Yeah.
Well, I think, you know,
Is there
if we,
something out there?
if we mention those sites first,
Yeah.
you know, we're not mentioning programs, but maybe they'll think of some stuff.
Yeah.
And then again, we'll change that to 3 choices. Okay. For questions 15 and 16, anything to add or change, or looks good as is once we
Looks okay.
flip them and, okay.
That's good.
Looks good.
All right, question 17, do you regularly travel to any nearby communities for open space and or recreational opportunities? Please list the community and activity for which you travel there for. So this
I
really
think-
just getting,
yeah, I think this one's really
Yeah,
important.
that's a-
Yeah.
that's a good-
Because if we're not giving it to them,
Right.
and they have to go elsewhere, we wanna know that.
Yep,
And we need to have a bigger
And what,
box.
and,
it'll be bigger, it's,
and to
you
find
know,
out what it is that they're,
Yeah,
Right,
exactly.
yes,
traveling for.
exactly.
Okay. Okay. And then just, again, another sort of catch-all, any additional questions, suggestions, or questions? Or sorry, comments, suggestions, or questions that they want to provide us? Question 19, how do you prefer to get information about open spaces and or recreational opportunities and events in Dudley? So just sort of have a list of options there. They can check
Yeah, those are good.
what they like, and then there's a box for other, if they want to write down other.
Don't think we wanna have town alert or.
Okay, we'll get rid of that one.
Yeah, not for open
Yeah.
space and rec. It's already bad enough that they're saying, I don't have town water, why are you telling me this?
Okay, and then question 20, would you like to be added to an open space and recreation plan email list? If yes, please provide name and email. So this will be good once we get to that public forum stage. We can email everybody who answered the survey, and if they want to attend, they can. You can also use it as a volunteer list if you want to. Okay. All right, moving on into demographics. So now we're just trying to figure out who answered our survey. What's your age? Question 21. Question 22, do you have any children under the age of 18 living with you? Question 23, what is your household size? Question 24, do you currently reside in Dudley? Yes or no, and if not, where do you live? And then if you live in Dudley, how long have you lived there? Again, listing a whole bunch of options.
Yeah, especially if somebody says, I got out because you didn't have any recreation. We need to know that.
Yes. Okay, so that's the end of the survey. Did any questions sort of jump out as we can get rid of this one, aside from, which one did we get rid of? The walking and biking question.
Nope.
No?
Yeah, I think it's good.
Good? Okay. All right.
Now, when I ask the others on my ag commission what they would want to put in, should I just email them to you or to all of you to see what you think, or?
Well, I think in terms of open meeting law, I think you'd have to email them to me, right?
Yeah,
And then
email
I
it to
could,
one person, and then,
Okay.
then it would be discussed at the open meeting, would be the best way.
Okay.
yeah, and then, yeah, what you said.
Yeah, we don't want to be going.
Did you
Yeah.
think that your board would want to have questions on the survey regarding agriculture, is that your?
Yeah, that's what I had
We don't
asked.
really have anything in here on that at the moment.
No, but on the old one from 2003, there was questions that pertained to agriculture
Okay.
as to what people were interested in seeing being grown, you know, with a lot of the items that are being grown now in town.
I think that's a good suggestion.
Yeah, for
Um,
Because
sure.
What
we
do you
have-
wanna see, what type of events around agriculture are you interested in seeing us do? Do you want like farmers markets, you know, classes, along those lines, more soil testing?
Sure,
If we could add
certainly if it ties in
something
with
like
the,
that.
Recreation or culture or something like that.
Oh, yeah, and open space.
For sure.
What do the farmers see their land being used for down the road? You know, something along those lines?
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. If you want to email me those, and then once I get them, I can just send them out to you all. We won't, you know, collaborate over email, but that way you can sort of
Okay.
get your comments together, and then at the next meeting, we can finalize the question list.
Mhm.
Yeah?
No,
Okay,
That's a
Okay.
good idea.
great. Okay. All right, any other comments, questions, concerns about the survey?
Nope.
All right, so the next, I put together a flyer for the survey. So really just kind of basic, we can change anything. I didn't want to like make it too compact with stuff, though it is pretty compact as is. So there's, you know, a little bit of an explanation about, you know, what we're trying to collect for, from residents, and then there's a QR code that you can scan. So if folks, you know, see the flyer, you know, at the supermarket or something, they can scan it on their phone and answer it. There's also a link, so if the survey was posted, say, to a Facebook page, you could click on the link, it'll send them to the survey, or if they really did want to sit there and type it in, you know, you could. Any of your initial reactions to the survey, and I can change the color too, it might, if we go to print it, maybe, you
I
know, it
think
sort of bleeds a little bit, but,
Blue was catchy.
okay.
Yeah, it
All
was
right,
in
keep
my
it-
eye
okay.
right away, so.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, as long as you feel like you can read it pretty well and
Yeah.
didn't like bleed,
Yeah, I
then
know.
that works with me.
You might also know where paper copies would be available.
Okay,
Some people might not feel comfortable going online.
sure. Paper copies.
That's a good idea.
And some older people don't have computers.
True.
So in terms of paper copies, will they be, do you want to have some
Senior
at the town
center,
hall? Okay.
library, where do you,
Probably town hall, some of the offices.
town clerk's office maybe.
And I can also post this on our agricultural website too, that we have
Perfect.
in our Facebook page.
So that would be a link.
Mhm.
They'd have a link
Yep,
to go and fill it out.
yeah, I can put this right on there and
Okay.
put a link, whatever,
Perfect.
that you want.
Would it be appropriate to put it on the land trusts
Oh, yeah.
site too? Okay.
Yeah, so we'll talk about outreach in sort of our next sub-bullet here. But in terms of editing the flyer so that it says, you know, where some of this stuff is located, where do we want to have them drop off their paper surveys?
Town clerk's office, I guess. Lori would be willing, don't you think?
Or a box in the downstairs?
A box in the police lobby, that would be okay too.
Just people tend to put everything in the mailbox out down there, everything. We found ballots in there.
Really?
Oh, wow.
The only thing I have is this word there. The town of Dudley is in the process of updating its
It's, okay,
open
Yeah,
space.
good point.
Or our open space plan.
Hour, be fine.
okay.
Yeah, because then it says, help us update our,
Mhm.
so good.
All right, so dropping off the filled out surveys, was it the town clerk or there's a Dropbox down
I
at the
think
bottom?
your suggestion of the police lobby probably makes sense.
Put it-
A box.
Can we put a separate box down
Yeah.
there just for that?
Sure.
Box.
That way they don't even have to come upstairs. They
Put a box and stick a copy of this right on the face of the
Yep,
box and.
Good idea.
Okay.
Return the surveys here.
Yeah, and some blank ones next to it, so they'll go, oh, what is that? Oh, okay, here's one I can do. Yep.
Okay, any other question, or edits for the flyer itself? Do we like the little images, wanna change any if we're,
I think
wanna
it's-
highlight
I
it?
think it looks fine.
Okay, great. All right, so then next is talking about specific outreach for the survey. So I think we'll want to post the flyer virtually and have paper copies posted places. I don't know if you have sort of signboards in town or any like kiosks at trails or anything like that. But I think just sort of listing out some locations and
The town message board, I think is good. Is that a
Like that.
repeating?
It stays up as long as you want.
Okay,
okay,
Rotates,
okay.
perfect.
put it up there.
Sort of social media pages.
How about Joy? Could be, we have a social media expert
Okay.
working with us now. So could you reach out to her, Michelle,
Absolutely.
and see if she has any suggestions?
Perfect. And then, yeah, anywhere else, or in your different boards, committees, departments, or outside of this, if there's any other groups, you're a part of in town, posting on their Facebook pages would be great.
That's the library.
The special events on the website, they tend to, over time, get pushed off the main page. Can you have it so that it stays on the page as long as it's
I
active?
think,
Pin it.
I think if, like you mentioned with having Joy update that stuff, you can bring it back up to the top.
Okay,
I'm not sure if Joy's working on the website yet, but I'm hoping she will. She's more of a Facebook person right now, but I'm going to try to get her involved with the website.
So yeah, definitely town website. Where else?
Now, we're going to be doing agricultural ag day up at the Common on October 1st. I could have something posted up there to like be on the lookout or something along those lines if you want.
Yep, and if you have any events coming up, I can print off a really big copy of the flyer, so you could have it up on a
Yeah.
poster board or something.
We could do that.
Okay.
Yeah, will that be ready by? what date?
Yep, yeah, you said the
'Cause
first.
Yeah, October
That's the big
1st.
fall event. And
Yeah.
if we're gonna get anybody,
Yep.
that's the day we're gonna see them.
Packed.
After
Yep.
that, they go in their holes.
Yeah, what I can do is I'll print off a big poster of the flyer. Maybe I'll add a couple other stuff on it too, and then I can print off some paper copies of the survey as well.
Okay.
So folks can, I don't know if they'll stop and fill them out, but they'll have the option to.
And we can put it up there. We'll have a couple tables, so there'll be room.
Okay.
are there any programs in town that offer hiking, educational trips, field trips, things of that sort that we could ask if they could post it? Nonprofit groups, I know you.
I mean, I can do it on the land trust, we can put it on Facebook and our website, and I can post it at the trailheads. Especially with the QR codes, people can just scan it and
Okay.
go right to it.
Perfect. Let's see.
We have town meeting coming up in October, we could have copies available.
Okay,
Good idea.
we can sort of,
Yeah, I think that's a big,
Repurpose the-
you mentioned it earlier, and it's a must, because those people actually care to go to the meeting.
and we can sort of repurpose that poster if if it's sort of still in good shape. If not, I can print out another one.
Can you talk to Lori to see if we can do that?
Sure.
Okay.
It'll be at the end of the month though, because
End
they're
of
saying the survey is gonna be at the end of October and our town meeting's the 24th.
That's fine.
It's giving
That's
a week.
better. Right.
Yeah.
And like I said, you might find that we're gonna extend it anyways.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
So that's totally fine.
Mhm.
What other places? Any local newspapers or?
Sure.
Sometimes they're hard to hit the deadlines, but if we're gonna keep it open for a couple months,
Mhm.
might be worthwhile.
How about in the Webster Times?
Okay, Michelle will contact the Webster Times and
Okay,
see if they
perfect.
do a PSA or something on it.
Yeah, and Yankee Express and what's the other one? Yankee
Yankee Swapper or something like that.
Shopper.
Oh, yeah.
And then there's a Smart Shopper. And they will put, little newsy things in. I usually put our stuff from the tavern or whatever, and 3 of them. They pop
Oh,
up.
my gosh, yeah.
Okay. Let's see where else.
Schools, do you
Schools.
typically
Yep.
cooperate with school? We have a separate school district.
Yeah, I've had committees reach out to the schools to see if they can allow the kids to answer them during schools, which is great. I think we got like probably the most turnout. You don't get a lot of people under 18, kids under 18 answering the survey, unless like you send it to the schools and they get time during school to answer it. So that would be a good option to reach out to the school district.
That's actually excellent. I
Yeah.
mean, these are the people that are
Right,
actually
yeah.
using these facilities.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you get a lot of parents who answer
Yeah,
them, and
yeah.
hopefully they're thinking of.
Or if there's a PTO or something like that.
Mhm.
Yeah, I know
Right.
PTO.
Yeah, how do you fit this in? They don't have civics anymore. They don't have, do they have PT? I don't know.
Problems of democracy with Mr. Bassinet.
They what?
Problems of democracy with Mr. Bassinet.
Or maybe in gym class or something, they can, or sort of science class.
Phil went out and will give you a cookie now.
Yeah.
There you go.
Then we, set up a little table at lunch.
Or maybe, yeah. Have some baked
Works
goods.
for us older people, cookies also.
Yeah, right.
I'm there.
Any other places that we should be hitting? Library.
The library you have, yeah.
Mhm.
Let's see. There,
I mean, for the flyers, we can put them in grocery stores and,
Mhm.
places like that.
Mhm.
okay.
Coffee shops.
Yeah.
Those people shouldn't be drinking, they should be walking. Well, maybe they walk to the coffee shop.
That's
Yeah.
what
There
they
you
do.
go.
Yeah.
It's possible.
Certain places won't let you put them in there.
Do you have a senior center? Yeah,
Yes.
it's on there. Any other
Now that
places?
you mentioned walking, do we have walking covered in here? Because
Yeah.
So,
we're doing a lot of sidewalk work, and we've noticed people are using them, which is a good thing, and I'm just wondering if we've sort of hit that topic.
so we did have, I think the only question we maybe had, we got rid of.
Figured.
But let's see.
Yeah,
Is that
Did
one?
you, did you see it in here?
walking, biking, and
Yeah,
driving.
But I'm just wondering
Was
if-
the question that was asked.
but
I think it was like 13 or somewhere around there.
It was
Yeah,
sidewalks.
question 13, walking, biking, or automobile. How important is it to be able to travel to open space and recreational destinations?
The rats in this building are huge.
So the,
maybe if we could have a
so the
question
state
just
with
on
the,
walking.
the Chapter 90 programs, or a lot of the grant programs, as you know, they're interested in pedestrian accommodations and biking lanes, which I don't necessarily agree with
We
all the
have
time.
to provide areas for passive recreation, bird watching, walking, hiking, biking.
But people walk on sidewalks. A lot of seniors will just go out for a walk, for example, and
Right.
want a place on
But
it.
as far as access or getting to recreational
Right.
facilities, if they're actually able to walk there or bike there,
Yeah.
if they have to drive, so that, maybe it's a good idea to leave question 13 in there.
Okay.
Okay.
Sorry for that little sidetrack, but
Yeah.
Okay.
so the next topic was review of the 2003 action plan.
Okay, yeah, so I haven't gotten any updates on this, which again, totally fine. So what we want to do for this is go through each of the actions here. So the actions are the bulleted points. Oh good, it looks like there's at least the first couple. And just sort of, if we know what progress has been made on them, great. If we don't know, that's fine. And then once we go through that, if there's anything that we want to keep for our, our 2022/2023 open space plan, we'll note that, make sure we get it into our new plan. Probably makes the most sense just to go down item by item. Yep, okay. So we'll start, there's some notes here already, but I'll just mention them, and if there's anything else to add, we'll add them. Okay, identify priorities and methods to acquire undeveloped lands that recharge high-yield aquifers.
So the water department does have a program where they are trying to identify potential well fields. So they're actively looking for new well sites. And then they would have to protect land around the well field as part of DEP's well permit process.
Okay.
I think they're probably a couple years away from being there, but they are very interested in trying to increase the water supply of the town, in particular into the parts of town that don't have water supply yet.
Okay, next, extend sewer lines in areas that recharge high-yield aquifers.
The town did have a sewer betterment program. I think it's many years ago, but I think after the 2003 plan was prepared.
Okay.
I don't know if it targeted high-yield aquifers or not, but it's certainly a good way to prevent groundwater contamination if you have areas of failed septic systems, so. Do you know when that program was active, Michelle?
And then next, coordinate review of proposed land uses in Zone 2 district.
So, under the zoning bylaw, this water and sewer department is the special permit granting authority for land uses in the aquifer district. So that probably could be assigned to them, since that's, not only do they pump the water, but they protect the water supply, so.
Okay. Great. All right, next one, distribute information to businesses and homeowners located in Zone 2 area about best management practices to protect the groundwater supply. Not sure.
We could keep it. I don't know if it's been done. I mean, it should be done periodically anyway.
Next. Okay. Okay, next, create high visibility information display at town hall and library about private wells, septic systems, and underground storage tanks.
Do you have examples of that kind of thing? I don't know if we need to reinvent the wheel. If
I
Maybe-
do not have examples.
maybe DEP would have posters or something of that sort that
Yeah,
we could use.
but so this has not been done.
Not to my knowledge.
Yeah.
Hasn't been done. Okay. All right, next one, appoint hazardous waste coordinator.
Don't know if we have one.
I don't believe there is.
Okay, and is that something you'd want to keep for the next plan?
I think it would make sense.
Okay. Now, when this plan was done, the plan was good for 5 years, now it's good for 7 years.
Mm-hmm.
So you might want to, where it says 5, change that to a 7.
Yep, okay. Okay, next, continue collection days for household hazardous materials. Is that already happened? It sounds like it was already happening then.
I don't think it's been done for a while.
So I think the, either Paul or Dean,
It was the fire department,
Yeah.
it was either.
fire
the
department managed it, but I think what they've done is because of the finances or expending whatever they had for resources, they're steering people to NEDT in Sutton. So
That was the
any of the
grant.
recycling is hazardous waste or anything like that goes to,
Okay.
and it's for a fee,
Mm-hmm.
but,
Yeah, it was a
was a
grant
grant.
before, so you could get
Right,
so
Gotcha.
much, $100
X
or
amount of,
something.
I think they received like a
But
it's
$20,000
gone.
grant that was expended, and
Yeah.
then,
exactly.
now they're
No, that's gone.
suggesting that people, but if it's able to be restored, it's always a good thing, because that's when you start finding things
Okay.
on the side of the road.
Mm.
Maybe just a different kind of recommendation would be to inform the public about hazardous waste disposal sites that are available to the public.
Sure.
And what about like electronics and stuff, like
It's the same thing,
TVs?
NEDT, they accept any
Yeah,
of
just
those
about
types of
anything,
things.
yeah.
We do at the recycling center accept electronics, but, some of the other things that are banned from the.
Like tires that you see everywhere?
No, we actually accept tires, and those are recycled through a vendor that we use, but, there's a lot of things that can't be taken in at the recycling center, so any of those things that are considered as hazardous waste,
Right.
they're disposed of for a fee, but then, again, it is a pretty convenient place that they have in Sutton, but for somebody to travel there, again, you stand the risk when it's not available directly in town.
Mm-hmm.
I have guys out picking it up off the side of the road, and then we're incurring the cost anyway, so.
The person that drove up on my land and dumped all their stuff one night.
That's fun.
Happens
Oh,
all the
yeah.
time.
Bags of garbage, tires,
Wow.
all kinds of things, right on the lawn.
Terrible.
Okay, next set of objectives and actions, let's see, work with Webster Water Department to provide emergency backup water supply connections. Has this been done?
I guess I'd be surprised if it hasn't.
Yeah, I'm not,
Are we connected to Oxford? Or
no,
is that sewer? Isn't,
sewer is connected to Webster.
okay.
The
But
water,
Oxford has a sewer line
I'm
that
not
comes.
aware of any
Okay.
interconnection.
I'll follow up on that, Danny, see if I can get
Okay.
information on where we stand.
Okay. All right, next, complete study of potential sites for town well fields.
Maybe the point I mentioned up
Yeah.
above for the previous question could be brought down into this objective.
Okay, research and enact conservation district to protect recharge areas for potential well fields.
I would say we should take that out. We have a conservation district, but it's very problematic.
Okay,
We have the aquifer protection district, that would be a more appropriate, and we have to do that anyway when you bring a new well field online, you have to adopt the Zone 2 regulation, so.
okay. Okay, objective 1.3. Continue careful enforcement of the Mass Rivers Protection Act. I assume that's been going on. And is this something we'd want to keep?
Mm-hmm.
Identify priorities and methods to preserve the riparian corridor of Tufts Brook.
The land trust has properties that have been acquired and
Yes.
to protect that corridor.
Yes.
Perfect. Do you feel like that's sort of adequate protection, or do you want to keep that on? Any
You
sort
don't own the whole,
No,
Corridor,
there's still
so-
areas that,
still areas?
yeah.
Okay. Research and enact conservation district zoning for Quinebaug Riverfront area.
again, I'm not thrilled with the conservation district idea, but you could say, target the Quinebaug River waterfront area for acquisition or, protection, acquisition or conservation restrictions or something of that sort.
And we can also take it out, because I think the one above, no, we'll keep that one in.
Mhm.
Okay. Create high visibility information display at library about waterways, ponds, wetlands, and wildlife habitats in Dudley. Was that done?
Don't think we have specific information displayed at the library. That would be permanent. And does this sound more like a permanent kind of thing? I mean, it's not that we couldn't do that.
Yeah, I think I sort of read it both ways. It could just be sort of a display case.
Pop up or
Yeah,
move around.
you know,
or-
water month or something. They might have put something up.
So let's hold on to that one. I can check.
Yeah, it would seem to me that it might be a good idea if that were something that were permanently preserved there, that,
Mhm.
Yeah.
they had mapping of.
What section of the book should it go in?
Right on the wall.
Or is
Okay. How many more weeks we got? Okay. Do you want to continue to run through these? I know there's a lot.
I think it's good.
Okay.
I mean, it's kind of early to be talking about the action plan already, but
Yeah.
I think we can continue to work on this as we go forward, but it's good to get
For sure.
comments tonight.
Okay. Okay, all right, so for objective 1.4, conduct a study to assess conditions of drainage area that links ponds in the northeast part of town, and identify measures to prevent or mitigate water quality and habitat impact from land uses.
So we are currently trying to get funding for a comprehensive stormwater management plan. So I think that would be a better recommendation than what we have here. It would encompass what we have here certainly, but I think
Okay.
we're looking at a townwide,
Townwide stuff.
yeah. And that could also include ways to mitigate, potential contamination.
Okay. Okay, next, require best management practices to prevent and remedy pollution from proposed land uses and road runoff. Obtain technical assistance from Worcester County Conservation District and Mass Department of Environmental Protection.
So we've done this. We do have a stormwater management bylaw and an erosion and sedimentation bylaw that was passed maybe 2 or 3 years ago. So I think that's been done.
Perfect. Okay, into our next goal and objectives. Continue careful enforcement of the Massachusetts Wetlands Protection Act. Assume that's ongoing. Do you have a wetlands bylaw?
Yes.
Okay. Form citizen committee to work with the Massachusetts Natural Heritage Program to preserve vernal pools and rare habitats. Has that occurred?
So there were a number of recommendations in here about forming new committees.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure that's really gonna fly. I don't know what a valid substitute is for it, but it's hard enough to get people to serve on existing committees. So I don't know, but certainly the thought is good.
Okay, so we'll keep this on as, we'll rework this somehow.
But we know where our vernal pools, we don't have a vernal pool in Dudley.
Oh, interesting.
That's my understanding, right?
Yeah, we tried to get one certified.
Right, and it
along
never-
Acres, but we haven't gotten that far yet.
That was the holy grail. Who can find a vernal pool in Dudley?
Are there any potential ones, or?
Yes,
Yes, okay. But none that are certified?
Right.
correct.
So maybe that's an appropriate recommendation, is to work to certify
Yep.
and
Yeah.
protect vernal
I think
pools.
there's a couple of criteria like that, like vernal pool or cold water fisheries that kind of buy us some goodwill towards assistance and with some of the things that we're looking at.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Encourage landowners, developers, and civil engineers to seek guidance on proposed land uses to help maintain health of wetlands, riparian corridors, and rare habitats.
Sounds good.
You've been.
Sounds like it's raining.
Okay, next objective. Identify priority lands and encourage applications for agricultural preservation restrictions, conservation restrictions, and Chapter 61 programs. So sort of twofold there. Did you do sort of a priority inventory of lands?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay.
We haven't,
The assessor's office probably has the chapter land.
Mm-hmm.
and
They do,
everyone who
they
owns
have-
it, and how much acreage there.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Citizens list.
There was actually a study that the intern did too for, and
She did.
gave a report to the selectmen on
Mm-hmm.
the open space of farmlands.
Okay.
So Linda, you must know of landowners who might be interested in protecting their farms.
we haven't been approached by anybody
Okay.
recently. A lot of the land already is,
Correct.
that they want in APR is already in APR.
Okay.
There are still a lot of people that have chapter 61A or 61B out there. They haven't made any advances to say that they wanna put it into protection.
Okay.
But I think that would be a good recommendation for the Agricultural Advisory Commission to keep the doors open for people that are interested in protecting their farmland.
Okay, next, work with state and federal agencies and coordinate resources to protect rare habitats, farmlands, and conservation areas. Anything specific that's been done for this action?
No, but again, you have a new open space committee there. The town administrator as head of government maybe is the appropriate entity there to work on a lot of those things.
Okay, and define policy and process for working with landowners when town has the right of first refusal on Chapter 61 lands. Do you feel like your procedures are already in place?
It hasn't come up since I've been here. Has anybody?
Not recently. The past few years, we had a couple up there, up in Sylvester Road. He wanted to sell his property and take some of it out of Chapter 61A. And we came to the town, and we just said, no, we don't really want it.
Does the town have a guidance document on that? Or?
Yeah, we do.
You
Yeah.
do, okay.
I do have a guidance.
Then I would,
I can give it to you.
please, and
Sure.
then maybe assign that to the selectmen and the Board of Assessors.
Okay. next set of objectives. Research and enact conservation districts, which you've done, we don't want to do.
At the time, this, in the 2003 plan, we had it, and still do have a conservation district. So I don't think we need to include this one again.
Okay. Let's see here. Create a methodology for rating existing or potential conservation land.
That's all you. Both hits.
Does that already exist?
No, not that I'm aware of.
Oops. Work to make sure that the most biologically important municipal lands are protected and managed appropriately. I'm gonna change that to ecologically. Is this something we want to keep in?
Sure.
Okay. Form ad hoc committee to research options for acquiring and maintaining conservation areas. So sort of looks like how to finance that versus just prioritizing the lands.
Rather than, an ad hoc committee to say research options,
Yeah.
and I think the town administrator probably would be the appropriate. And the finance committee is good too. It's called the FAA, the Finance Advisory Committee.
Okay, ask town residents for donations of land, funding, and services. Is that,
I don't,
get rid of?
yeah, get rid of that one.
We have a landowner who's donating 16 acres to the town at town meeting.
But they come forward.
Yes.
Right.
Correct,
I
we
mean,
don't
it's not like we
approach
have to put the ask out there.
Right. Does the land trust approach landowners, or do you wait for people to come to you?
People come to us, usually.
Okay.
Okay. I think that's most towns, not asking for residents to give up their land. Okay, use stone markers to recognize people who donate land.
I hate those.
So they're done.
We keep filling our places up with stone markers and whatever. In 20 years, you're not gonna know who that person was. You're gonna stumble over it and say, I skinned my knee, and that's the person that caused it.
How about benches? You also often see a little marker that says donated by the family of and remembrance of so-and-so.
Little benches are lovely.
Okay.
And if they fall apart later on, well, you just get rid of them. But, I don't know. Bronze plaques on
So it's just
stones.
the
and-
plaques that you,
There was a time we were doing that. I just find it annoying. If it's natural, leave it alone. Don't make it look like a graveyard.
maybe say something like, recognize
Yes,
people who donate,
absolutely.
you could word that better than I
When
could.
people know
but-
who they are.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
Some form of recognition is
Right.
always good.
Okay, consider adopting Community Preservation Act and or other funding sources for land acquisition. Have you adopted the CPA?
It'll never pass in this
No.
town.
But I would like to keep it in.
Oh, yeah.
Like Brandon.
It'd be lovely, but
Right.
it's just never, ever.
What are we up to now? There's like 2/3 of the state, I think.
We've just missed the boat on
Yeah.
this.
Yeah.
You know, it's just,
Seek assistance from state and federal agencies to prepare management plans for town lands and conservation districts.
Sure. that's vanilla.
Right.
Anything specific that we've done to this, or just keep it in sort of as a general?
I'm not aware of any management plans for town open space.
No.
Okay. Consider designated funds from sale of tax title land to acquire and maintain conservation and recreation areas.
I like that
Me
one,
too.
I would say town administrator.
yeah.
And treasurer.
The town has acquired a number of small parcels over the years from tax title that
Yeah.
are of no use to the town.
Right.
So at some point, the town will be trying to dispose of them, and so that could actually render some income that we could use.
Yeah.
Okay, on to goal 3. Prepare and publicize guide to town conservation and recreation lands, including trails map. Do you have
David,
a-
you've done that, haven't you? You have a guide that includes town land?
Yeah, but, yes,
So that's been done.
excuse me?
So that's been done.
Yes.
3.1, number 1 has been done. Some of these, you might put down the Dudley Conservation Land Trust as a partner
Okay.
with town government, because you're very active in that
A
area.
lot of these things we've kind of picked up.
That's
Yeah.
right,
Yeah.
more so than the town,
It just
so.
rolls down to you. Hey, guys.
Print trails map for, let's see, Ardlock Acres.
Yeah.
Do you have that?
I don't
No,
have-
that's the town.
The town owns that
Okay.
one.
Yeah.
So there was no trail map for that?
I don't know if there's anything, I haven't been there in
You know,
years. Obviously, it's not a big rec
there's an
area.
app called All Trails, and it's in All Trails, so somebody did do a map of it at some point.
Yes, I know there was a map, I just don't know at the moment where any of that stands. But also, as we go up to our 300th in 10 years, folks,
Yeah.
that would be one of our big projects, identifying all kinds of areas in town,
Mhm.
naming them, putting signs up, telling people what this is. So that going forward at some point, but there's no committee yet
Okay.
to attach it
Yeah.
to.
But I think that is a good recommendation, although we are getting a recreation committee, are we not?
We are. We're meeting on the 27th.
So a lot of these recreation recommendations can go to that new
Yes.
committee.
Yeah,
Perfect.
when we get to them.
And CMRPC does have a Trimble, so if you did want that GIS data or a
Mhm.
trail map,
Mhm.
we'd be able to do that for you.
Are you working on a regional trail mapping project?
Yes, we have a digital regional trail that we're working on, trail map, still being developed, but
Mhm.
should hopefully be launched sometime this winter.
Can you get a copy of Dudley from that database for us? What
Yeah,
trails
let
you
me-
currently have?
Let's see, let me chat with Matt
We
and see.
could look at it, see if we know of others that we could add to it.
Let's see here.
So is the trail map just town-owned properties?
Yes, so we, we didn't want to advertise private lands.
Okay.
So it's not sort of town-owned, public access.
Yes,
So
public,
land trust
sure.
will be on there, state-owned obviously will be on there, but we didn't want to put like any private landowners just because,
Okay, that makes
we don't
sense.
want to encourage people to
Right.
go on private.
Yeah, because we have,
Property.
Audubon has a
Yep.
reserve here, yeah.
Is there a snowmobile club in town?
Not that I know of.
A lot of times they know where all hidden trails are.
Yeah, well,
Or they make their own.
I hear them.
Oh, okay.
But I,
you know where the rail trail is.
yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
I bet they do.
Okay. Improve signage at town recreation areas. Have they been improved, and if not, do we want to keep this?
Let's keep it.
I would keep it, because the town could do something similar to the land trust, and put QR codes on,
Mm.
the boards, the
Mhm.
trailheads.
Consider creating information display at town hall or library. I
think we should change that to a more of a website, put information on the town website of existing trails and
Yeah, that's a good idea.
that kind of thing. The other possible objective here is, the playground outside the town hall called the Fun Zone. It's a very important project for the town to renovate that facility. I don't know whether you want to get specific about sites here, but
Yeah, I think for the sort of purpose of this, we'll go through these actions, and then I have like a short exercise that we can do, or if we feel like we're getting too late, we can postpone it until next time, because like you said, it's still a little bit early to be thinking of our action plan, and of course, we want to factor in, once we get our survey
Yeah,
responses
that's-
too, make sure things fall in line.
Absolutely,
okay.
But I think that's a good idea, definitely, if you're thinking of stuff now that we want to include,
Okay.
make sure that we get it down so we don't forget it.
I thought I saw a flash.
Yeah.
Little storm out there.
Ooh,
What was that park called?
Fun Zone.
Fun Zone.
It's a very expensive renovation, so, but I think, isn't there an article
Yes.
on town meeting for that?
We're getting water in it, shooting up. No.
Get that accessible splash pad?
Yes.
Gold
It's
plated
an idea.
slide.
Just water coming down on it.
Okay. All right, next set of actions, form a trails committee to improve hiking, biking, cross-country skiing, and to work with state and regional agencies on trail connections with other towns. So did you say there's no trail?
There
committee?
used to be a trails committee.
Used to be.
But it's defunct, isn't it, I believe?
Yeah. We had a gentleman who was quite involved with that, and he passed away.
Jeff, you're actually the trails coordinator in town, right? So, I thought you were.
The
Former
former,
superintendent is.
the former superintendent.
Okay.
Yeah. That
You
was
did not
Vinnie.
assume that
Ask
mantle
him,
when you
though.
took over?
I'm sorry?
You did not assume that mantle when you took over?
No, he actually assumed that when I took over.
Okay.
Or he was
Okay, so we do have a
designated.
trails
It was
coordinator.
formally unfilled because I guess the guy that was doing it passed away. like
Right,
that.
Ken, yeah.
So if you could
So
tweak
it was
that rather than
left
trails
left
committee.
unattended and he-
It was.
Yeah.
Ken did so much.
Right.
Right, I mean, you have these one-person forces,
Yeah.
and once they disappear,
Mm-hmm.
the magnitude of what they've accomplished scares people. And they go, I couldn't do that.
Right.
How did
So
he do?
nobody
We do perform some maintenance on the trails. They do brush mowing and
Mhm.
mowing on the trail to maintain that passable. We've done some repairs to a bridge or.
Mm-hmm.
Should we add to this? It says with other towns, how about other
Land
agencies
trust.
like Land Trust and
Landowners.
Audubon and
Mm-hmm.
DCR? Everybody has a little bit
Mhm.
someplace here.
Mm-hmm. Good.
That all trails app that you mentioned is
Yeah.
pretty
It's awesome.
comprehensive.
Yeah.
It's-
Develop maintenance improvement plans for recreation areas, including restrooms, parking, picnic areas, parks, and play areas. Any sort of maintenance improvement plans for town-owned properties?
Well. Restrooms, parking.
We should keep it.
Right.
I don't know if we've done anything.
Keep it along.
Well,
Yep.
the open space project up here, beyond the playground,
Mm-hmm.
that is one project that we're
Right.
going to be doing.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully, this kind of on the back burner right now until the playground gets repaired, so.
Right.
Okay, assist pond associations to address public access concerns and provide appropriate access points for Dudley residents.
It's probably more of a conservation commission duty, I would think.
Okay. Conduct a study of potential conservation or recreation complex to serve town residents, visitors, and other municipal land needs.
Town administrator, I think, would probably spearhead that effort. Maybe a park and rec, is it just the rec committee? What's the title of that, Michelle? Is it park and rec or just rec?
Rec,
Just rec commission? Okay.
pretty vague.
Expand recreational programming by providing year-round activities for youth and adults. Are there year-round activities?
Year-round activities, well, we have like soccer club and, you know, Little League, those type of, but they're not part of the town.
Gotcha.
Mhm.
I'm trying to get swimming classes for next summer down at the beach.
Wow, that'd be awesome.
Yeah. It's just trying to get somebody right across.
Okay. Install sidewalks to make neighborhoods more pedestrian friendly.
Doing it.
Yep.
Mhm.
In process. Increase ADA compliant access to recreational facilities.
Mhm.
In
As you know, we do have the transition plan prepared that identified improvements necessary at all town parks and conservation areas. So we'd certainly be looking to implement those recommendations.
Form ad hoc committee to research options for acquiring and improving recreation areas. I feel like you already had something like this earlier.
I think that would be the recreation committee that would take that one on.
Okay. Research and transfer tax title parcels for recreation uses. So again, we sort of had something like that before. So we'll keep it, and then town admin and treasurer. Okay. All right, last goal here. Almost done. Oops, skip down a couple. Where'd we go? Coordinate with the town of Charlton to designate Route 31 as a scenic highway. Has that been done?
No. Is there any reason why Route 12 isn't mentioned above? You got
I don't know.
Route 12 for what?
managing land uses along major roads.
Oh, okay, yeah.
We'll add that.
It's major.
Right.
It's West Main Street, no.
Right.
Let's see. Identify priorities and methods to preserve character of Route 131 and Route 197. Anything
Historical Commission?
We've never heard of this. So, we do go and ask to have various scenic roads designated on
Mhm.
occasion,
Mm-hmm.
but never a big plan or some sort. You know.
So maybe just planning board, take out Historical Commission and then.
Okay. Establish a Dudley Pride Beautification Committee. Has that been done? Do you want to do that?
What would that be?
Beautification.
I don't know.
I don't know what the intent was.
Yeah,
It's like a road beautification, I'm not really
Flowers
sure.
around, that's always
What?
lovely, putting flower pots
Yeah.
around.
flower pots.
I like in what, Oxford and what?
Oxford did a
Oh,
nice
Oxford
job.
looks like,
Isn't it
that's a
great?
Malza grant.
Oh, that's what
Oh, yes.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Oh, it's stunning. That was big geeks, and it was a Malza grant. Now, they may find out they wind up continuing it
Mm-hmm.
year after year, because it's a big
Yeah, it's
hit,
really
but it's
pretty.
also a big look.
Yeah.
So I give them high marks for
Definitely.
looking good, but
Mm-hmm.
I have visions of a couple of dingy little pots on the bridge, Marino Bridge.
We're just trying to get that bridge
Looking
painted.
sad and unwatered.
But okay, so it sounds like we don't want to establish any
Right.
additional committees.
Right.
Let's hold off.
Okay. Okay, next. Designate additional scenic roads in town.
That was done.
We do them.
Yeah.
As as they come up. Usually it's when I'm riding around and going, where did this road come from?
Okay, apply for state and federal grants to help property owners maintain historic buildings. Anything like this done?
Yes.
Nominate Dudley Historic Districts for National Register of Historic Places.
We've done that.
Done.
We actually have 2 now.
Historical Commission.
It only took 10 years to get one.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, complete Dudley Community Development Plan.
That was done.
Done.
It's funny because the plan is actually part of that community development plan, so.
Research and enact zoning that will foster both open space and affordable housing objectives. Sounds like you did some of the open space already. What about affordable housing?
No, we could keep that in, I think. We do have a mill overlay district that does require 10% set aside. So yes, we have done
Yeah,
that.
it's there.
Yeah,
Okay.
but more could be
We'll
done.
take it.
Yeah.
Keep that in. Consider use of cluster provisions and or transfer of development rights to relocate land uses to most suitable areas.
I don't think that would, TDR I don't think is in our future.
It's badly worded anyway, so.
Transfer of development.
Okay. Let's see. Oh, now the last goal was a little early there. Publicize and distribute this plan to all town boards.
Sure.
Provide information at town hall and library.
Website.
Website. Incorporate outdoor classroom concept into public school science curriculum.
Where did that come from? I don't know how, I don't
Right, outdoors classroom.
I don't see it. Any ideas, anybody? I don't know how it got in there,
Are you aware
or
of
what it's
any
supposed to mean.
professor or
outdoor
teacher
class.
that does that kind of thing? I'm not aware of anybody, but,
No one has done this yet.
okay.
Okay. Work with news media and distribute quarterly bulletin about conservation and recreation matters at library and other locations in town. Has this
Well,
been done?
Conservation and recreation matters.
I don't know, I mean, it's a question of just providing information as things come up and go along, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
This
Provide
quarterly
information.
stuff is always an undue burden.
It is.
Suddenly you say, oh, a quarter went by and we didn't do, what?
Alright. Form open space committee to carry out proposed actions and schedule annual meeting among town boards and other agencies to coordinate implementation of open space and recreation plan.
Do you think, is there any interest in making this more of a permanent committee? That would carry on the work after the plan's prepared?
As long as I'm not on it.
I usually recommend to the towns I work with, if not this committee, some sort of an implementation committee, because I'm sure you have other plans you've been working on where you've got, maybe 5 action plans that you could be doing, some work. So instead of them just sort of sitting on a shelf, not doing anything, you have somebody constantly looking at them. Whether it's a new committee or you just sort of divide up tasks between existing committees.
I think we could leave this for now. It's up to the selectmen to decide if they want to create a new committee.
we won't take
This
that option.
plan could make that recommendation at the end, if that's what everybody thinks is important, so
Yeah.
we could keep it in there for now.
Okay. Begin planning process to update open space plan. Check. You're doing that right now. Progress. Encourage community groups such as Boy Scouts and Sportsman Club to adopt and maintain town recreation and conservation areas. Have
We
the
had Eagle Scouts do their projects, their Eagle Scout projects. A lot of them are on open space, up near the dam, the Baker Pond Dam. They built a little bridge over this waterway.
All these,
Didn't they paint the
these
gazebo
were
one
obviously
time
open
too?
space committee.
Didn't they paint the gazebo
Things.
down by the post
So-
office one
Yep,
You
they
don't
time?
did a
have an
fire,
open
well,
space
before the
committee.
fire station was built.
Right.
They built the,
It's an empty box.
Right.
quite a bit.
And that's the
Nobody
only,
takes responsibility for it.
yeah.
Okay, coordinate with Ponds Association in town to obtain assistance from the State Lakes and Ponds Program.
Not that I'm aware of, but probably Conservation Commission.
Yeah, I know the pound I live on, we belong to COLAB.
Okay.
Yep.
Co-sponsor workshop on citizen water monitoring with agencies and organizations such as the Mass Water Watch Partnership and Mass Riverways Program. Has there been any sort of a workshop on water
Well,
monitoring?
the French River Connection did a lot of water quality
We
monitoring.
did
did.
for years, and it is dissolving now, so that won't
Okay.
be there. A lot of data, though.
Did that get into the right hands, all that data?
Yeah, it's all on the Last Green Valley website. Dudley got data every year, Webster got data every year,
Okay.
Oxford did. So
Okay.
they've used it,
Okay, good, good.
but it expired. The committee did their thing and said, we're done.
Good. Mission accomplished.
Yep.
Okay, and then last one here, form ad hoc committee to distribute information on pesticide and herbicide uses in town. Hasn't been done.
Yeah,
Would the Water and
that's
Sewer
Board of
Department be,
Health.
we,
Board of Health.
Leave that, leave it for the Board of Health.
I know.
Board of Health, you think? Okay.
Okay.
Issue when one of us not going to use a dove wanted to get the mosquito spray,
Mhm.
you know.
Well,
Did again.
Okay, so we've already done, we did progress, actions to keep. So we do have a goals exercise. We are getting kind of late, so I want to be mindful of that. Do you want to run through this now, or again, this is sort of building what our goals, objectives, actions are
Let's
gonna
hold off
be?
on that till the next meeting, I think.
So for the next meeting, some things to think about, what do you consider when you're thinking about open space and recreation, sort of what falls into those categories? What do you enjoy about Dudley's open space and recreation opportunities, and what do you want to improve? So we'll sort of start with those questions. We might sort of leap off into different directions, but we're going to use that to build our goals and objectives. They might fall in line with what you had in your previous plan. They might look a little bit different. And then just sort of the last thing I wanted to note, usually what I like to do is come up with sort of a questionnaire or something else so that we can get input from other boards and committees. Of course, you're representing other boards, committees, departments as well, so, you can sort of get input from them. But I did want to talk about, whether we want to do that, like I said, through a list of questions that we send to them, whether we want to invite them to one of our meetings and have a discussion, or, we could attend one of their meetings, or sort of some other method of gathering information. And again, it sort of falls in line with these questions that I'm going to ask you all about, where are our issues in town, what's going really well, what can we improve, things like that. And maybe that's something we'll think about the best way to get input from these additional committees and start brainstorming what town boards we want to ask, who might be able to offer the most insight, and then sort of outside organizations, are there any, you said there's a soccer club and Little League, you might want to get input from them as well to see what their thoughts are about open space and recreation opportunities are in town. Obviously the land trust, sort of anyone else that we can think of. Just start thinking about those different groups and how we want to interact with them to get their insight.
Can you put together an interview question list?
Yep.
Maybe we could give it to them and they could either fill it out,
That's a good idea, yeah.
or we could invite them to a meeting and discuss, their thoughts and concerns.
Okay. Great.
So who would we want to invite or have fill out that form?
So in other towns, we've sent it to the planning board, historical society or commission, depending on what you have in town, council on aging or a senior center, who else? Conservation Commission.
DCLT.
Yeah, any land trusts you have in town.
Okay.
If you had a trails committee, we would send it to them.
Selectmen, or is that?
Yep, we can send it to the selectmen too. We'll be, not soon, much further down the line, we'll be presenting the plan to the selectmen as well, but it doesn't hurt to get their input early.
We talked about water and sewer department. So I could think-
Ag commission,
How about the veterans?
yep, definitely. I mean, you can ask anyone, you could send the questionnaire to all your boards and committees if you want to. But that would be a good list to start
Board
off
of Health,
with.
we have a number of recommendations for them.
Yep, Board of Health. Maybe even assessor in terms of the chapter lands, or the finance committee in terms of, or treasurer in terms of funding some of this stuff. They might have some input.
Good.
And then, any sort of, I'm not sure what organizations exist that aren't a part of the town, within the town, but
No,
you
I think
might
it would be
consider
good to
them.
get their input. They may choose not to respond.
Yeah,
But at least we've asked them, and
definitely,
they might have some insights that we're not aware of.
for sure. Okay, that is all I had. Any questions or comments, concerns?
So we have our next meeting.
Oh, right,
We're gonna get back to our first Wednesday of the month schedule. Try to be more prompt about getting the agendas in. Is that still good with people?
October
Should
5th?
be.
October 5th. So, okay, in terms of the survey, because you're gonna be adding, or we're gonna add an agricultural question,
Yeah.
and then the Ag Day is the 1st.
Yeah.
So if we were to wait until the October 5th to officially launch the survey, we'd probably miss the Ag Day. And that seems like a big event. So,
Well, we could do like be on the lookout or something like that.
Well,
Some sort
would you
of.
be ready in time?
well, so the only thing is if you're gonna send me questions that we then wanna discuss and approve, either I could just sort of make a judgment call and
I'd like
I
to
can
get
send
it.
it to all of you, send it to her and then. she
And then
can
if you wanna
it out.
send your
Okay,
comments just to
sure.
me,
Okay.
then I don't think we violate open meeting law. You just can't collaborate with one another.
Yeah, I'd like to take advantage of that day.
Yeah,
so
Okay.
that-
I think we got it pretty well
Yeah.
Yeah, I
squared
think so,
away.
too.
I don't see any.
Yeah.
And it's not a life or death situation, so if something goes out and it's not quite right, well,
Yep. And we can always add, and change questions afterwards. It
yeah.
messes things up a little bit, and I think we definitely would want the ag questions in there for Ag Day. But again, we can make edits. So we'll do that. So you send me the questions, I'll send them out to everybody, and then just sort of individually send me your comments. I'll give you a deadline, and then I'll make my best judgment call based on the
Okay.
And
feedback
then
I
if you
get.
could get a poster to me before then, and then we can put it up with our banner and our other information that says, you
Yep.
know, be on the lookout, Town of Dudley's coming up with a survey.
Yeah, I'll coordinate with you by email, but yeah,
Yeah,
we'll.
that's fine.
Okay, great, awesome. Actually, I don't know, did you
So
sign
our
it?
next meeting, the 5th
You
of
might have
October?
put that
Yes.
away before you came in.
Now, Joanne resigned from the committee, so we have an opening.
Okay.
Does anybody have any suggestions of somebody who we could approach to see if they'd be interested in volunteering?
We have our recreation commission's meeting up, maybe a couple of people there, I could ask.
That'd be great to have
Yeah, that would be
them
great.
be on this.
Is there anybody on the Conservation Commission you could think of that might?
I don't know them very well. I know Dick
Anybody else have any friends or neighbors who you think would be good? Okay.
In other towns, I've seen the youth soccer groups, they've had a rep.
Mhm.
We had a town that had like some sort of diversity group or diversity committee, they had a rep.
Now, Joanne was on the Cultural Commission, right? I wonder if there's somebody else from that
I could ask.
board that might be interested to take her place.
Jenny.
But your suggestion is good, somebody from a Little League or soccer.
Or, you know, if you've got somebody from the school committee or,
Mhm.
they might be a good option to
Okay.
get that youth component,
Mhm.
or cultural on aging,
Mhm.
as well.
Okay. So we'll try to get somebody for the next meeting if we can.
Great,
Okay.
cool.
The other thing is, Richard Clark had called me this afternoon and left a message on my phone. He couldn't be here tonight. He had carpal tunnel surgery today, but
Oof.
he wanted to make a point about the plan should really reflect town facilities as opposed to regional school district facilities.
Sure.
That kind of thing. So just make sure, you know, we consider just what the town in particular is responsible for.
Oh, definitely.
And not what other outside groups
Yeah.
might have.
For sure, when we talk about the more specific facilities, that's section 5 of the plan, and so we have it broken out into like private versus public
Right.
lands. And definitely, you know, I think we want to take advantage of all of our open space and recreation opportunities, whether they're town or private owned or state owned, you know, what have you. But definitely for the specific state grants, those you can only do on town, or only
Right.
utilize on town properties. So that is something to keep in mind when we're thinking of actions.
Okay. Anybody have any new business or anything else at this point?
Motion to adjourn.
I second.
Okay. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Okay.